When I was in school, my father was diagnosed with Parkinson's, a neurological degenerative disorder. In this, a patient intermittently loses control over his balance and movement. In this condition, it hampers his ability to do simple things of life, such as walking, eating, dressing, driving, etc. It not just takes away his independence, but also his self confidence. It impacts his judgment, decision making skills, impulse, and emotional control too. This disease not just affects the patient, but also his entire family, especially the spouse. And this is true not just of Parkinson's, but other degenerative issues also, like Alzheimer's, dementia, intellectual disabilities, etc. After years of slow and often painful adjustments, my father was finally starting to live independently with Parkinson's when in 2017 he suffered from brain stroke. Of course, both the conditions being brain related, things got worse. We tried to hire a professional caregiver for his help, but finding someone with the right kind of knowledge and the same level of concern as us was difficult. The experience left a lot to be desired. We had to constantly supervise to ensure there were no medication goof ups or elder care abuse or even mobile phone distractions. I'm not saying it always happens, but for us, with the already ongoing burden of stress, we didn't want it to add anything more. As with any degenerative ailments, things keep getting worse as the days pass by. Growing up around such a life changing disease was not easy. In spite of me being provided the most positive and utmost caring environment at home, being a part of the caregiving team itself takes a toll on you emotionally. Of course, it is all a part and parcel of caregiving. I now know that every caregiver goes through this. Each of us who has an unwell family member at home has to sacrifice on so much more, from impromptu parties to outings with friends, families, to even skipping out on your own favorite hobbies just because you have someone else to take care of at home. At times, the truth be told, it's really overwhelming. As I started studying psychology and practicing it, I started seeing this whole caregiving experience into a positive light. Viewing caregiving as a positive experience is not just true for me and my family, but 83% of other caregivers too, as reported by one of the researchers. The more I started practicing psychology, the more observant I started becoming. I started getting answers to a lot of long held questions. I started noticing that I'd learned so many crucial life skills subconsciously that I'd cultivated because of caregiving. Psychology opened my eyes to all of these. Today, I would like to share these life skill lessons with you because I'm confident that they will help you, whether you are a caregiver or not, in whatever situation you find yourself. The first lesson I learned was I learned to accept ambiguity. Bruce Lee once said, "Be like the water making its way through the crack. Do not be assertive, but adjust to the object, and you shall find a way around or through it." Parkinson's disease shows a different impact, different effect every single day, multiple times a day. Just like a Parkinson's patient's reaction to his own primary medicines. My father has been taking the same medicines for the past 20 years, at least 5 times a day. In spite of that, even today, there is a chance that after the morning dose, his body will start vibrating a lot, while after the afternoon dose, he may become too stiff or frozen. This is just one of the instances of hourly ambiguity and unpredictability faced by us. Growing around such a patient can pretty quickly teach you to go with the flow. I've learned to live in the present and not worry about the what ifs. Things that are of value today may or may not be important tomorrow, and that should be okay. Not everything will be in our control, and that should be okay too. Caregiving has taught me to be more adaptable. To me, accepting ambiguity means to expect less. A wedding is coming up in the family. We're not sure whether my father will be able to make it. But I for sure know that even if he's able to make it for an hour, we will all be happy. Lower expectations are more likely to be met. Isn't this pessimism positive? I think so. The second lesson I learned was to trust myself. It is next to impossible to go with the flow and accept ambiguity without the basic level of trust in your own capabilities to deal with the situation. In 2017, after my father's brain stroke and brain surgery, we were told we could only take him home if we were to recreate an ICU kind of an atmosphere at home with the same level of care. Close to 20 years taking care of him, we learned to trust our own abilities. We knew we would be able to do the job well and just do it with utmost care. Over the years, I've noticed how in any emergency situation, even when my brain is running on reserve fuel, it just comes up with a concrete solution instead of shutting down, unlike what would have happened to a lot of other people in similar situations. This hard-earned trust results in self-confidence. And we all know how self-confidence is important in our everyday aspects of life, right? The third lesson I learned was to plan, but with an open mind. Although it's essential to accept ambiguity, I believe we cannot be caught unawares. I have learned that it's good to plan. Just don't be rigid about it. Make plans based on the common sense or the knowledge available to you right there. But also make sure that it's okay if plans change. Anytime when we have to plan a family holiday, we first figure out on which holiday spots are closest. Then within those, how many hotels are wheelchair friendly, or which airlines will give us door-to-door services, so on and so forth. But we also know that things could come up and we may have to modify or wing our plan as we go along. Another thing that I learned was to find joy in simple things of life. Most motivational books and stories would tell us, have faith, be patient. They say setbacks are temporary and all will be okay in the end. But with degenerative illnesses, things never go back to normal. In fact, it keeps getting worse. The impact on health never reverses. We've also noticed this repeatedly, that when we are positive and cheerful around my father, he is more alert, content, and sometimes enthusiastic too. But now, how do you stay cheerful and positive all the time when pieces of your own life are falling apart? Well, firstly, it is our love for him that motivates us to stay positive. And secondly, we've learned that we cannot control fate. All we can do is accept it. So we've learned to stay positive by looking at simple joys of our everyday life. My father loves to go on a drive or going to the park or listening to old melodies. He gets happy even with those simple activities. The contentment and pleasant peacefulness on his face is enough to lift his mood up. I've started realizing that to solve my problems or to change my mood, I don't necessarily need to have grand solutions. Sometimes simply sitting in the park is enough. I've also learned to have empathy and an altruistic attitude. Generally, when we help someone with a physical issue, someone who's lost a limb or an eyesight, they both are grateful. But for the caregivers of neurological patients, the caregiving job seems to be like a thankless one. There are times when you put in so much effort, time, and energy to only know that they will criticize you by the end of the day. They are often irritable and forgetful, due to which they just shoo you away in anger and shout at you. Surprisingly, it is this precise moment that they need that enormous amount of patience from us. And I've learned that empathy helps us to be patient. My mom keeps reminding us all the time, this isn't his true nature, it's only a part of his disorder. Also, as someone once said, always remember, your bad days are still better than the patient's best days. Such advice has helped me become more empathetic. And as empathy grows, so does our capacity to forgive someone. We start responding in a more gentler way towards others. Also, after spending so much time in someone helping them grow every day, I've learned that now I'm unable to switch off the helping mode. even when I'm around normal people in life. The sixth lesson that I learned was that I've had an increased sense of self-awareness and identity. I don't think anyone in this room here would have learned to ride a bicycle without falling. In fact, we all learned to ride the bicycle because we fell. Confused? Research suggests that we learn through repeated trials and errors. With a Parkinson's patient, most things are trials and errors, be it their dosage, their treatment plans, their exercise regime, their diet, etc. With trial, failure is bound to happen. Repeated failures force us to face the hidden side of us because we realize that our present side isn't doing any better at facing the challenge. This increased self-awareness has helped me over the years. My purpose in life has become much more clearer. My goals are now based on the abilities I discovered during the failed caregiving attempts. The last lesson that I would like to share with you that I learned is to be creative. Every Parkinson's patient is different. No two Parkinson's patients have the same symptom, same severity, or same frequency. As a part of the caregiving unit, I've learned that we need to be creative even in caregiving. If my father is unable to walk and he gets frozen while walking, we just put a piece of object in front of him. Automatically, he lifts his foot and takes the next step. For his daily exercise, we've started putting colored sellotapes all around on the floor, just as a visual aid for him to take each of his steps. Rather than investing in new devices, we've learned to make do with what we already have. We automatically start doing this because otherwise, imagine the sheer volume of items, devices, and equipments needed that can get financially stressful. Well, what you see here on the screen is actually something that my mom came up with recently because my dad wanted to see a video. It's just one of her creative side. Creativity is not just for the family member, it's also for us. Let me explain this. Through a project Mark, a creative solution that I came up with. Caregiving a person takes a lot of patience. After I started practicing psychology, I realized that I could be patient with my clients, but when it came to my family, I was often impatient. I really wanted to change it, so I started looking for simple, doable techniques. Via psychology and its theories like behaviorism, I learned that it's easy to change one's behavior through repeated pairing. Pair and replace your impatience with your patience. So all I had to do it, I had to replace my impatience with my patience over and over and over again. It's as simple as that. Not really. Only if it was that simple. In spite of all of my hard work and my good intentions, life would happen. Every morning I would wake up and consciously think that I want to be more patient today. Within 5 minutes of that resolution, hundreds of things would crop up and I would completely forget about my resolution. By the end of the day, I would feel really bad for not being able to do my resolution. And this whole cycle would repeat itself every day. Well, finally frustrated, I thought, what if I put constant reminders? So I started putting an alarm and telling people to remind me of my impatience and how I wanted to change it with my patients. That didn't work too, because of course people too get busy. But one fine day, I had a eureka moment. I thought to myself, what if I put a mark on my body, that is my wrist, that would be my constant reminder for my change. So I put a star and a circle around it and I put it on my wrist, the place of my body that was most visible to me, at least once in 10 minutes. Now every time I looked at that mark, it would remind me of my impatience. And then automatically it would remind me that I had to be more patient. So I would dwell on that for a few moments, take a deep breath and move on. Over the time, I would see the same mark at least 20 times a day. And due to this repeated viewing of the mark, my mind automatically started connecting the mark to patience. and I automatically was more patient. Over the time, I did not need the mark anymore, but the habit remained. Encouraged by this habit, I started using it to other aspects of life, like my beliefs, my thinking, my behavior, etc. I also shared it, making a project with 400 of my clients across all age range. Most of them reported seeing a positive change. I was so happy knowing that this simple technique made so many people just take control of their own issues by themselves. Of course, this wouldn't have been possible without the lessons I've learned through caregiving. Undoubtedly, taking care of a patient or caregiving is no joke, but it has molded me in a better way. It has made me learn to dare to dream, dare to achieve. It is definitely a true blessing in disguise for me. And also, you're never going to be able to see a rainbow without a few tears. Thank you.